It is Monday, April 9th at 2 a.m., and I can't sleep. I'm tossing and turning in my bed. I can't shake the thoughts running through my head because 1 year ago, today, I learned I was HIV positive. My name is Dana T. Davenport, and I am 20 years old, and I'm a sophomore in college. I have a dark chocolate complexion, short black hair, which is now a mess, mashed in different directions from turning restlessly on my pillow. I have light brown eyes that I'm keeping shut tightly in hopes that my memories will leave me alone and I'll drift into a deep sleep. But sleep doesn't come. All that comes are memories. When I was a senior in high school, my usually overprotective parents went out of town on business, leaving me unsupervised for an entire week. This had never happened before, and I had every intention of taking advantage of this new, unexpected freedom. My friend Tasha, she told me about a party that was being thrown by some students who attended a private university nearby. I remember thinking, there's no way I'm going to miss this. But looking back, I wish I would have stayed home and done my anatomy homework or something. On the night of the party, I wanted to look perfect. I stood in front of the mirror for almost 2 hours and would have been there longer if I hadn't seen Tasha's car pull into the driveway from my bedroom window. Not wanting to keep her waiting, I ran downstairs, slammed the front door, and climbed excitedly into her car. The party was in the basement of a small house close to the campus of the university. As Tasha and I walked into the house, we couldn't help but notice the strong aroma of smoke and alcohol that filled the air. We were sitting on the couch drinking with the group of girls when a tall, muscular, caramel-skinned guy asked me to dance. He introduced himself as Devin. I knew who he was. Everyone knew who he was. His face often graced the sports section of the local newspaper. He had gotten a full scholarship, and everyone expected him to be drafted into the NBA. He had a reputation of scoring with females almost as much as he scored on the basketball court. Devin pulled me close to him while we danced as the music blared through the speakers. Everyone in that basement was dancing hard and sweating harder, but all I could smell was his cologne. We had been dancing for what seemed like forever when Devin asked me if I wanted to go somewhere more private. The wise thing to do would have been to say, no, let's just stay down here. But I was drunk, so I said, let's go. I was so drunk that I didn't decline when he led me upstairs to a quiet bedroom. I didn't stop him when he kissed me passionately on my neck. I said nothing when he took off my belt, when he took off his, or when he decided not to use a condom. I woke up the next morning to see Devin lying next to me. I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I had done. I barely knew him. It is now 3 o'clock a.m., and I still can't sleep. I really need to sleep. I have a class at 8 a.m. this morning, and I can't afford to miss. Yet, more horrible memories haunt me as I toss and turn in my bed. I was too scared to get tested right away, but after a while, those commercials I see on TV talk me into it. I remember being a nervous wreck after my bus ride to the clinic. I became moody and withdrawn. I read over and over the education on HIV/AIDS pamphlets I had taken from the clinic. One pamphlet said that 50% of HIV infections occur among people under 25. I didn't want to become just another statistic. When the doctor called to tell me the test had come back positive, I dropped the phone. A feeling of rage engulfed my body. I was furious with the world, with Devin, but most of all, with myself. Because I knew I had gotten the HIV infection by having unprotected sex. I began to scream and cry hysterically. This insanity continued till my voice was raspy and my eyes were so red and puffy I could barely see. It is now 3:45 a.m. I've been so wrapped up in my thought that I didn't notice that the tears pouring from my eyes soaked my pillow. My life has changed so much since that infamous phone call. Of course, I take almost 11 pills a day to fight off the flu and build up my immune system. But for now, that's the hardest part. The most important thing is that I am still alive. I have since learned that people who are infected can live completely full lives as long as they take proper care of themselves. I see myself finishing college and going on to being a strong, successful, happy woman that just happens to have HIV. It is Monday, April 9th at 4 a.m., a year from when I learned I was HIV positive. As I think of celebrating my 21st birthday, graduating from college, getting a job, and maybe even getting married, my eyelids are finally feeling heavy. Maybe now I'll get some sleep.
The Mask, and it's about Michael S. Weaver and how he covered up his pain. With a straight back, he stands on what he has written. Dark, rich, bold brown skin covers his body. His legs picked up his feet, that took him places he only dreamed. His hands worn out and fragile, to hide from the agony he suffered as a child, from people who were supposed to love him unconditionally. But his strength and power kept him on his chosen path. His hair strong and black like it used to be in his younger days. He writes not only about what's on his heart, but also what his mocha brown eyes have seen and what his pointed ears have heard.